The flight was packed, and first-class passengers were settling in. Among them was a man in his late 40s, dressed in an expensive suit, exuding arrogance. As he took his seat, his eyes fell on a woman seated next to him. He scoffed, noticing her simple attire and unassuming demeanor. He smirked and leaned toward her. "You sure you're in the right section?" he asked sarcastically. She turned to him, unfazed, offering a polite smile. "Yes, I believe I am." Her calm response seemed to irk him. He chuckled under his breath. "First class isn't what it used to be," he muttered, loud enough for her to hear. A few passengers glanced over, sensing the tension. The woman, however, remained composed, glancing at her phone. A flight attendant approached with a warm smile. "Ms. Bondi, may I get you anything before takeoff?" The man's smirk faltered. He glanced at her again, realization beginning to dawn. "Wait, Bondi," as in Pam Bondi. His tone had changed, laced with uncertainty. She nodded, offering her hand. "Yes, that's me." He hesitated before shaking it, his arrogance slightly subdued. His mind raced. Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General of Florida, was well known for her legal expertise and political presence. She had debated on national television, stood against corruption, and fought for justice. "I didn't recognize you," he stammered, his confidence cracking. She simply nodded, her expression neutral. "Happens all the time," she said, sipping her water. The man cleared his throat, suddenly uncomfortable. "I didn't mean any offense," he said quickly. "I just didn't expect to see someone like you here." She raised an eyebrow. "Someone like me," she echoed, her voice calm but pointed. He shifted in his seat. "You know, I assumed you were just an ordinary passenger." She gave a small laugh. "Well, I am, but I've also had a long career in law and public service." The subtle reminder of her accomplishments made the man uneasy. As the flight took off, he found himself feeling foolish. He had judged her based on appearances, assuming she didn't belong. Now, he sat beside someone far more influential than he ever imagined. He tried to change the subject. "So, are you still active in politics?" he asked, desperate to steer the conversation into safer territory. She nodded. "I stay involved in legal work and advocacy. I believe in using my experience to make a difference." Her words carried weight, and the man felt a twinge of regret for his earlier mockery. An awkward silence settled between them. The man shifted uncomfortably, replaying his words in his mind. He had been so quick to judge, yet here she was, carrying herself with dignity. Midway through the flight, the attendants began serving meals. As they approached, the man felt a strong urge to apologize. "Listen," he said, "I was out of line earlier. I didn't mean to be rude." She looked at him, her gaze steady. "It's easy to judge based on appearances," she said. "But respect shouldn't be reserved for those we assume are important. Everyone deserves it." Her words hit him hard. He had spent years in high-powered business circles, often dismissing people who didn't fit his mold of success. Now, he realized how narrow-minded he had been. "I suppose I have a habit of speaking before thinking," he admitted. "It's something I need to work on." She nodded approvingly. Self-awareness is the first step toward change. Her tone wasn't condescending, but rather encouraging. For the first time in a long while, the man felt humbled. He had always prided himself on his sharp wit and confidence, but in this moment, he saw the power of quiet strength. By the time the flight landed, he had gained a newfound respect for her. As they gathered their belongings, he turned to her. "Thank you for the conversation. It was enlightening." She smiled. "I'm glad to hear that. Have a good day." With that, she walked off, leaving him standing there, deep in thought. As he exited the airport, he made a silent promise to himself, to listen more, judge less, and approach people with the respect they deserved. It was a lesson he wouldn't soon forget.